Yeah, good morning everybody. I would first of all I would like to thank Dr. Ajay Paul for giving me this opportunity to speak on this subject. Now, subluxated lens in children. Once we are dealing with subluxated lens in children, there are mainly two categories in which we deal. One is a traumatic subluxation, and second is a progressive subluxation, as we see in Marfan's homocystinuria and spherophakia. So in this presentation, I would show just two videos. One would be a traumatic, and one would be that of a Marfan's. Surgical options, as previous speakers have been telling, I think these are the surgical options. So let's go straight away to the first video. This was a child who was having a subluxation of the lens in both the eyes with a very high myopia and high cylinder, and vision was 660 and counting finger 2 meters. So I was left with no option but to operate this child. We always try to shy away from surgery in these children because there are reports that surgery in subluxated children in Marfan's has a more incidence of retinal detachment after surgery. But with more and more experience, we have found that with the latest surgery, the incidence is really less. Personally, I have not come through any case of that. So in this case, the capsulorhexis was initiated, and I would say the most difficult part would be the completion of capsulorhexis. So after initiation of the capsulorhexis, before completing it, we put the capsular hooks and try to bring the lens little bit towards the center. At this stage, we have to be very careful so that we are not pulling it too much, then the capsulorhexis will extend to the periphery. So a titrated pull is important. And once it comes slightly towards the center, then we go ahead and complete the rhexis. Now you can see hydrodissection was done, and every step has to be very gentle because you are dealing with a gross subluxation and a weak zonules on the other side as well. So if you are that may lead to extension of the weakness towards the other side also. So we decided to put a CTR first. Then again there may be discussion why CTR and why not Cionni ring. I was more comfortable with CTR because I am not very comfortable in manipulating the Cionni ring in a weak zonule, and it may lead to some extension also. So the back gets stabilized to some extent after CTR implantation. Then a bimanual irrigation aspiration was used. Normally I use coaxial, but in these cases you want minimum turbulence in the antechamber, so bimanual was used in this case. And again the bag was pulled towards the center. And now you can see almost whole of the pupillary area is covered with the capsular bag. Once the cortical aspiration was completed, and it is a bit difficult with the ring in place, you have to pull it a little bit more and takes much more time. The lens was implanted, which is again a single piece hydrophobic, which is the easiest one. Whichever lens you are more comfortable with, it is the best to implant that lens. But always a hydrophobic lens in a child. And then comes after we have completed this step, then comes the process of stabilizing the bag. At this stage, I removed the capsular hook so as to make some space this side so that my Prolene suture can pass through, and we can fix the Cionni segment in that region. A scleral pocket was made. Excuse me, stopped. Yeah, play. It's coming as playback error. Go ahead, leave it. Now here you can see once we implanted the Cionni segment, then remove the capsular hooks again, and through the segment we had already made a loop of 10-0 Prolene, which missed in the slide because I have just went ahead a little bit. And then with through the scleral pocket, take a 26 gauge needle and pull the 10-0 Prolene. It is a double-ended suture, so one of the needles is pulled first and then the second needle. And here is the second needle being pulled out. And finally, a very gentle titration of the knot so that the lens is well centered. And this is what we get at the end of the surgery. Now, the second video what I'm going to show is leave it. This was a case of traumatic cataract. So in this case, what we had got was a traumatic cataract with zonular dehiscence in this area and iridodialysis as well. So most important in this again was a surgical planning. You have to plan it well in advance, what steps you will do first, and then go ahead with the surgery. Then it becomes a lot easier. So in this we decided to do the Rexis, again CTR implantation. And one thing what Dr. Pattabhiswas, I think he mentioned, that in traumatic cataracts we will be left with only this portion of zonular dialysis always, while in the previous case over a period of time I think the other side of the capsular zonular weakness can give way in future. But in this, if you have done a satisfactory surgery, you will have always a good result. So cortical aspiration was done, then the lens was implanted and the bag was stabilized. Now, what you can see at the end of IOL implantation is a very thick fibrous posterior capsule, but I decided to wait for that step at this stage of the surgery, and first went ahead with iris repair. Because that was a big dialysis area, it is always better to put one suture in that area and make the iris a little bit round if possible. And as you can see, when I am taking this 26 gauge needle through the iris, I have just increased the dialysis area that side. And again with the same railroad technique, the Prolene suture was pulled out. And then suture it in the scleral pocket. So that completes our iris repair. Then the next step what we went ahead was the posterior capsulotomy, and a vitrector was used so that you can make a decent opening in the visual axis, so that the child cannot, because once we have left this, we cannot leave this for YAG. This will never cut with YAG, and even if it cuts, it will regrow again. So in children, we should open the posterior capsule. If you notice, in the previous case I didn't do so because that was a slightly older child, and again doing that would have destabilized the back further. And this was a post-op picture 1 week, and the child is doing well, about 2 years post-op. I think I'll complete that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Love.